Good morning. Happy Saturday, everyone. It is December 31st. I'm Abby Huntsman, and Happy New Year, America, courtesy of Vladimir Putin. The Russian president taking the high road in response to U.S. sanctions, telling American diplomats to stay in Russia, and this despite President Obama's snub.
And President Obama giving himself a pat on the back in his final address of 2016 and promising that there's more to come. Oh, goody.
And with the new year comes a bunch of new laws, my favorite time of year. So get out your pitchforks, America, because now you'll be able to go hunting for the very first time in decades with your pitchfork. They're legal now. I know you've been waiting, just as long as you're hunting only for catfish. And if you think that sounds crazy, just wait. We're going to run down all of the new laws about to hit the books in 2017. Happy New Year. The show starts right now. Stuff like when they drop the possum, you know, in the different towns.
Oh, the different
pickle
traditions?
drop. So email us this morning, friends@foxnews.com. I want to hear your different New Year's Eve drops in whatever town.
Where
across
does
America.
the idea of a ball dropping come from?
That's a good question.
Like, why a ball drop?
I'm going to get on Wikipedia during the commercial.
We'll get back on that one.
Yep, we'll get back to you.
Meanwhile, Russian President Vladimir Putin refusing to retaliate against the U.S. for sanctions imposed by President Obama this week.
Instead, they are sending a plane to pick up the 35 diplomats that are being kicked out of the country.
Leland Vittert is following the story for us. Leland, good morning.
Well, good morning, guys. The New York Post calls it to Russia with luggage, and the Russians' flight home cannot come soon enough. As of now, they are persona non grata, so come tomorrow, these Russians' diplomatic immunity is revoked and they must leave the United States. The Russians are sending one of their VIP military planes over to pick them up, the U.S. equivalent of the people who fly Air Force One and other officials around. It's both perhaps symbolic and practical, considering reports it was tough for all 35 kicked out diplomats and their families to get reservations out during the holiday season. First priority for the Russians, though, was cleaning out two compounds the State Department ordered closed. Yesterday, we saw long convoys of moving trucks and SUVs leaving facilities in New York and Maryland. They doubled as dachas or summer houses for the Russians, but were also used as bases for espionage.
I think it's also important to point out, I mean, Russia has taken so many actions during President Obama's presidency adverse to our interests. They sent advanced air defense systems to Iran. They made incursions into the Ukraine. They harbored Edward Snowden, who gave up a whole bunch of state secrets. So the Obama administration really did very little to combat a lot of that. And so now going out the door, he's trying to do this.
The Russian president issued this statement as it proceeds from international practice. Russia has reasons to respond in kind, although we have the right to retaliate. We will not resort to irresponsible kitchen diplomacy, but will plan our further steps to restore Russia-U.S. relations based on the policies of the Trump administration. This statement slightly more diplomatic, you might say, than the Russian embassy tweet saying they were looking forward to the end of a, quote, hapless administration, complete with a lame duck gif. So evidently, not only do they have the diplomatic language writers, but they also have some good graphics artists.
Right. Well, speaking of diplomatic, we know that you stepped in and volunteered to wake up extra early this morning for us, Leland. So we appreciate that. Also, you've been so busy all week working. Of course. Do you have a New Year's resolution?
New Year's resolution, hopefully to wake up even earlier so I can spend more time with friends.
There we go.
But are they up that early, Leland? Oh, with friends, with us. I love that. That's so sweet.
Nailed it.
I don't buy it. But thanks, Leland.
Yeah, well, you know what? There's a reason you don't.
That's right.
Thanks, Leland.
Thanks, Leland.
Thank you.
Well, meanwhile, Donald Trump, the president-elect, tweeting about this whole, Russian issue right now, and basically saying, "Look, I'm glad that Vladimir Putin hasn't bought this." He tweeted this yesterday after Vladimir Putin's quote yesterday. But Donald Trump saying, "Look, great, move on delay by Vladimir Putin. I always knew he was very smart in saying, you know what, we're going to just stick to this." And we're going to stick to our game. We're not going to jump to conclusions here. As Leland played that quote earlier in his piece, talking about, we're not going to get involved in this sort of kitchen table diplomacy, this tit for tat.
Right.
You can come to our Christmas parties. We're going to keep our diplomats here in Russia. We're not going to play the same game.
Because as you said, everyone wants to go to the Kremlin for Christmas.
Right.
It's a great place to
right.
be.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, we had Mayor Rudy Giuliani on yesterday, Pete, and we asked him, were there any conversations going on behind closed doors with President-elect Trump and Russian officials? And he said, that's not something I want want to talk about publicly, but you see these Twitter exchanges that makes you wonder if they're sort of already pressing that reset button and having any sort of conversation right now.
Well, maybe they are, but they certainly can have a conversation over Twitter as well, which has changed the game. And I think in this sense, it's sort of odd to watch an incoming president praise a former KGB agent.
Right.
But at the same time, if you appreciate geopolitical strategy and having a strategy and strength and being unpredictable, then there are some things that obviously Donald Trump sees in what Vladimir Putin has done. But it's a new type of communication that's happening. And Sean Duffy, congressman from Wisconsin, was on Tucker Carlson last night, talking about how this back and forth with Russia is really creating a new dynamic. Take a listen.
During the campaign, Twitter works really well, and Donald Trump was a master at driving his message through Twitter. What does Donald Trump really mean by the tweet? And it's hard for us, it's a head scratcher to go, what message is he trying to drive? What I'm taking away from this is Donald Trump is going to be unpredictable. And in one breath, this week he's saying, great, smart move, Vlad. But last week, as Vladimir Putin was talking about modernizing his nuclear weapons, Donald Trump was like, and so are we. Mm-hmm. And if you want to get into a nuclear arms race, have at it. You did it 20 years ago, 30 years ago. You were destroyed. Try it again. So Trump is unpredictable. And I think that's going to be a new change up in the way he deals with foreign leaders and also with the U.S. Congress.
Sure.
We just don't know where this guy's going to go.
Representative Duff will be on our show at 9:15 this morning, so we'll ask him more about that. We maybe even get his take on what President Obama just released. He releases that weekly YouTube address, and it was sort of like his year-end wrap-up, but it's really like an 8-year wrap-up, a look back at his administration. There's a lot of patting on the back going on here. Take a listen.
Just 8 years ago, as I prepared to take office, our economy teetered on the brink of depression. 8 years later, you've told a different story. We turned recession into recovery, poverty is falling, incomes are rising. Almost every country on earth sees America as stronger and more respected today than they did 8 years ago. And to keep America moving forward is a task that falls to all of us. And as I prepare to take on the even more important role of citizen, know that I will be there with you every step of the way to ensure that this country forever strives to live up to the incredible promise of our founding.
So this is interesting, something that I don't know that we've experienced before. If you notice at the end of that, saying he's going nowhere, he's going to live right there in the Kalorama neighborhood in D.C.
He's
going to still fight for his policies. And as he's saying, the direction the country wants to go in is where he's taken them.
He's going nowhere. Where is he right now? On what planet does this sentence make sense? Almost every country on earth sees America as stronger and more respected today than they did 8 years ago. We're talking about lame duck gifts. We're talking about Israel feeling like it's been completely abandoned. It's a flat out not true. And this video came out just minutes ago. I mean, so up to the moment, President Obama is saying somehow what I've done has left America stronger. I beg to differ.
But it's interesting, Clinton. You remember he spoke back in September and he said the biggest insult to me would be Hillary Clinton not winning, because that would show that the people aren't wanting my policies going forward.
Right, a repudiation of my policies. But I think to your point about living in Washington, D.C., Ed Klein, who's been a guest on our show a number of times, says that he believes that's why President Obama is staying in D.C. to sort of set up what he claims is a shadow government, liberal organizations that are really going to try to undermine this Trump presidency. So maybe he's saying it right here in the flesh.
Which is just, as you said, a dramatic departure from predecessors.
You think about George W. Bush and really took a step back.
Off at the ranch.
Went to do some painting, said, you know what, I've had my 8 years.
Yeah.
Now it's time for the next administration. There's a real class and respect to that, to say, you know what, I've had my time. Let the next administration do what they're going to do.
And Barack Obama ran against George W. Bush, so it's not as if it was a graceful transition. It was very different views, but he stepped back, and it doesn't look like Barack Obama is going to do that.
Very interesting.
Too bad. All right. Well, what does Congress think about President Obama's sanctions against Russia? New York Representative Lee Zeldin joins us live next.
Plus, imagine a Ted Cruz, Charlie Sheen ticket in 2020. One of them just told the other, no thank you.
That's a tease. And we're going to check back in with Rick, of course, in Times Square. He's getting an up-close look at the famous Waterford Crystal Ball.
Well, President Obama issuing some stiff sanctions against Russia this week for their alleged hacking of our presidential election. But Russia now responding, saying they're not going to retaliate. But wait to see how the Trump administration handles U.S.-Russian relations. So what is Congress's reaction to all of this? Joining us now is the Congressman, New York Congressman Lee Zeldin. Nice to see you this morning.
Nice to see you.
Welcome to the show. So what do you make of this response from Vladimir Putin? You've said you're not a fan of Vladimir Putin. It seems like he's got the upper hand here, clearly.
I think that his response has outsmarted President Obama over the course of the last couple of days. Unfortunately, President Obama, when he engages in a next move with regards to relations with Russia, it seems like he's thinking one step ahead.
Right.
And Vladimir Putin is thinking 5, 10, 12 steps ahead. And what's going to be important for the incoming administration is there needs to be more of a long game. And when you decide to enact new sanctions, you know what the response is going to be and what your response to that is. And Putin just, every step of the way right now, I mean, he's not a good guy. He is not a friend of the United States. He's not an ally. We talk cybersecurity, cyber attacks, but we can also talk about the rest of the map across the country and Russian aggression. It's a complex map, and they are our adversaries, so we have to be smarter.
Yeah, you're right about that. So we could get a little too comfortable with Vladimir Putin as well, right? We've talked to NYPD detectives here on Fox and Friends for years who've said, you want to look at the hacking that comes into the United States, into the regions that the NYPD handles and looks into, comes right out of Moscow and right out of China, but more specifically comes out of Moscow. So can we get a little too comfortable with Vladimir Putin also?
Well, we need to be strong. We need to be consistent. I think that our adversaries, they don't respect weakness, they only respect strength. When we say we can't be silent when we get tested, it's not because we want war, but because we want to prevent it. What has been very high profile in 2016 have been the hacks on the DCCC, the Democratic National Committee, John Podesta. But on top of that, there have also been mass cyber attacks taking place on U.S. companies. A lot of personal data has been made its way into individuals and foreign actors, foreign state governments. So if we find an opportunity where it serves America first, America's best interest to work with the Russians on something, as long as it's in our best interest and there's a victory, we're planning from victory backwards, that could be a good thing. But we have to be smart in how we do it so we don't get played.
What about Israel? Has our U.S.-Israeli relations been permanently damaged?
No. I've been to Israel, spoke to Israelis where you can see that the strength of the bond between Americans and Israelis, it was going to outlive this president, the next president, the current prime minister of Israel, the next prime minister. It's a strong bond. They love America. I would say that the daylight between the Obama administration and Netanyahu, what's taken place at the UN Security Council, a lot of rhetoric that's come out of the State Department, certain policies as well. It certainly has taken a hit on the relationship, but the strength of the bond is going to outlast President Obama's last couple weeks.
All right, good to hear that. And Happy New Year to you. Positive note, New Year's resolution, what are you planning this year?
Well, I think we're going to be making America great again. It's an exciting year ahead. Happy birthday to you.
Thank you.
And I'm looking forward to celebrating a great year, a busy year. There's a lot to do, and for my constituents in my district and all across this country, I think Americans are excited about what's ahead.
I totally agree. Happy New Year.
Yeah, thank you.
2017. Thanks, Congressman. All right, coming up here on the show, with a new year comes new laws. So get out your pitchforks, America. For the first time in decades, you're now able to use a pitchfork to hunt for catfish. Yes. Thank goodness. I've been waiting for this law. And if you think that sounds crazy, just wait. We've got a whole bunch of other laws they'll be ringing in 2017 with. Speaking of ringing in 2017, Kimberly Guilfoyle and Eric Bolling will be joining us on Fox and Friends because they're going to be hosting the big New Year's Eve special right here on Fox News Channel. We got them up early so that they can stay up. And welcome back. This could be your final news by the numbers of 2016. I know you're going to be heartbroken, but enjoy it while it lasts. First, 1 million. That's how many partygoers are expected to pack Times Square to watch 2017's ball drop. Security will be tighter than ever this year, with 6,000 NYPD officers on hand. And 15 million. That's how many trips Uber expects to complete on New Year's Eve. That's 3 times more than last year. And finally, 1 second. That's how much extra time you're going to be getting this year. 1 leap second is added every few years because the Earth takes a little bit longer than 24 hours to complete a full rotation. So don't spend it all in one place. Enjoy that extra second.
Countdown to 2017 is in full swing. Fox News will be live from the heart of New York City in Times Square. So what can you expect from tonight's special All-American New Year's?
Well, joining us with the inside scoop are co-hosts of The Five, Eric Bolling and Kimberly Guilfoyle. It all starts tonight, and you guys are kicking it off.
Yes, we're super excited. The dynamic duo is back together again, baby.
I can feel the energy right here.
You know it. You know it. We're really excited about it. We had a great time last year. It was so fun. And now we're going to be down in the thick of it, which is really exciting.
Middle,
Down
a
and dirty.
million revelers are going to get right in the middle and hang out and talk to people and talk to celebrities and talk to NYPD and have some fun.
That would be
Last
a
year
zoo.
we were up top. We were about 50 floors overlooking.
Yeah.
It was great, but it felt like we needed to be down in the
Yeah.
energy is intense.
It's going to be
down
so
there.
packed this year, and
Yeah.
obviously there will be heavy security as well. But how fun to be in that moment with all those people. As you were saying, Kimberly, earlier, it's so cold as well. You can just kind of snuggle with everyone around you.
Yes, it's
Get
very
close.
fun. And the
Good luck finding someone that'll snuggle with you.
Yes,
Yeah, I know,
exactly. There's some really
Don't look at me.
generous
My wife is going to be
Americans.
there, and she's Adrian's hanging out, and we'll be right there.
I get no love from Bolling. He's like, stand down, KG. I'm like, okay.
Group hug. We'll do group hugs. Yeah.
Groupon, yeah. So it's good though because there's a lot of amazing military men that are willing to serve. So they're fantastic. Also the NYPD, they're amazing too. So it's a great crowd to be down there. You meet all kinds of people, tons of celebrities, real ones.
Yeah, we're gonna have
will be there?
we're gonna have the President Obama's gonna come on live.
gosh,
The Pope
here
is
we go.
flying in for the show.
making this up.
Kimberly, did you see my
you
face?
had me, actually.
Did you see my face? I was like,
You had me at Obama, you lost me at the Pope.
LeBron James said he
Wow.
promised to come too. Actually, they all said probably, but we're hoping they show up.
You're going
Oh
to say
my God.
invitation pending. Yes.
Yes, I know.
But I'm sure there will be
I'm
some surprises.
optimistic. You know,
You are.
2017 is going to be a great year. I think we're going to kick it off with, like I said, the Pope, the President, and LeBron James.
So as you see, Bowling's losing it.
puppies.
So he'll be fine by tonight. We're gonna pull it together. We're gonna crush some Slurpees or something.
I bet the
That's
show
a
does have a
drink.
tendency to go off the rails a little bit, you know, as it goes through the night, New
It's
Year's.
fun. And it's such
Yeah.
a great group. I mean, to be honest, like we have Phil Keating. There's always something
Yes.
that goes, I mean, terribly, awesomely wrong.
Yeah.
When he's at the hotels and he managed to find a few ladies that have had
Interesting
some cancer.
revelers.
So you go like
Yeah.
this. Okay,
Rick
let's go to Phil
Leventhal.
Keating down in Miami, and you go like this.
Yeah, please,
Let's just hope and pray.
Get to hit the delay button.
I love it. So what time were you guys on? Because it's a full night event, right?
A lot
Starting
of
with Jesse
rumors.
Waters.
A lot of rumors.
Waters and Kennedy will kick it off at 8,
Yep.
8 to 10. Then they'll hand it off to Kimberly and I from 10 to 1 a.m. this year. Last year was 12:30. We're going to stick around
Bring
till
it
1
in.
They
a.m.
supersized it.
They did. Well,
Yeah.
you
Well, you
can
were
never
so
get
good
enough
last
Kimberly and
year.
Eric Bolling.
That's what it was, I
And you know,
think.
the Pope was so demanding. He's like, I need more time, so you're going to have to extend the backside of this thing. And maybe he'll come in after the New Year.
Eric,
too.
you're so full
Oh
of it.
my gosh.
You're so full of it.
Sweet.
It's going to be a heck of a new year.
I love it.
Francis,
All right,
please
quickly,
forgive
New
us.
Year's resolutions.
Yeah. Oh, mine is make life easier because I seem to complicate my life too much. I don't know what's going on. But anyway, but trying to streamline. simplify.
like
Just,
it.
a
I
little
like
bit
that.
of stability, a little bit of like smooth it out. What do you think, Paul?
Can't wait
I
to
think
hear
that's a
Eric's.
good idea. I'm going to have to jump on that.
Put a lot of thought into that one.
Right?
And spend more time on Fox and Friends. Clearly, that's
Yes.
what we need to
This
be
is where
doing.
the fun
Those
is.
two.
We do. We love Fox and Friends. It's
Oh,
really
we
great.
love having you
guys
guys
the
here.
five.
Good luck
Yeah.
tonight. We will be watching, celebrating, Ring It In with
right.
you.
Thank you so much, and yes.
and I'm going to call you when the Pope shows up.
I know.
You're so full of it, Eric.
I know. It's like, I don't know.
Maybe the Pope will be there, though. Who
He's
knows?
got the
We'll
Pope
see.
on the mind.
We'll
but
see.
anyway.
All
All right, you don't want to miss this night.
Do
It's
not
gonna be
miss it
big.
tonight on
Thanks,
Fox
you
News
guys,
Channel.
and Happy New Year to both
Thanks.
of you and
You
your
too.
families.
You too.
Thanks a lot. Still ahead, imagine a Ted Cruz, Charlie Sheen winning ticket in 2020. Sadly, it's only a dream. One of them just told the other, not gonna happen.
And now to a Fox News alert. We've been following the story closely. The Eagles have finally hatched. Here is a live look. We have been watching this for 2 days now.
I've been watching it on the side
And it
during the
happened
show.
on our
That's
show.
why I'm
Pete.
so distracted.
Area city mayors are calling on President Obama for last-minute protections against President-elect Donald Trump. In an open letter to the president, New York Mayor Bill de Blasio and 30 other leaders across the country are now asking to extend a program to shield illegal immigrants and their families from Mr. Trump's proposed deportation plans. And did the U.S. government launch a cyber attack on a popular conservative website? Readers of the Drudge Report finding the site down for more than an hour on Thursday. The site's founder, Matt Drudge, calling it a, quote, denial of service attack coming from thousands of sources. He tweeted this: is the U.S. government attacking Drudge Report, biggest DDoS since site's inception. Very suspicious routing and timing. And after Charlie Sheen giving his best pitch on Twitter to Senator Ted Cruz, listen to this, suggesting the two of them run together in the next presidential election. You cannot make this one up. Sheet writes this: "Come on, Ted Cruz, in 4 years we can unseat this guy. You bring the awesome, I'll bring the winning." Ted Cruz responding back with a picture of Martin Sheen as President Bartlet in the TV show The West Wing. I love that show. He writes, "Glad to see Charlie Sheen embracing conservative principles, but Americans just rejected another political dynasty." And this comes, of course, after Charlie Sheen sent out that tweet this week,
true.
basically calling for the death of President-elect
Probably trying
Trump,
to recover.
which was terrible.
It maybe a bit presumptuous that Ted Cruz was going to be the vice president in that arrangement? It was Sheen Cruz.
Well, he
just to
wins so
clearly-
much.
Yeah.
He started
and
the
he
winning.
uses what he's used cheetah. What do you use? Cheetah blood.
Cheetah blood.
Cheetah blood.
Yep.
I mean, can you beat tiger blood?
And
Thank you.
Just 5 minutes inside his head, 5 seconds inside his head
kill you.
will kill you.
Yeah, that's right. You can't beat tiger blood. Coming up on the show, we're counting down the top political sound bites of 2016. Who could forget this one?
Now, having said all this, why aren't I 50 points ahead, you might ask?
Aaron McPike with the hits and misses of the year.
And New Year's can be a dangerous time of year, right, Pete?
It can.
The cage. Oh my goodness. Happy New Year's.
Yes, this happened yesterday. I'm
That
sorry
was
about
yesterday.
that, Pete. I'm really sorry.
You're not hit in the head with a cork?
Coming up next, the holiday hazards to watch out for, like this one.
Welcome back. Some quick headlines for you. The cafe that posted a sign banning Trump supporters is now backing down on their so-called ban. The owner serving up a side of controversy, posting this sign on the door of his cafe saying, "If you voted for Trump, you can't eat here." He now says he'd still serve Trump supporters as long as they're nice and like his food. I guess that's extreme nice vetting that he'll be employing. And thanks for the calories. While you were sleeping, New York's Carnegie Deli closed its doors for good. We had a couple of their sandwiches on the show yesterday. Tasty. The famed deli, known for its towering sandwiches, had been around since 1937. The owner ultimately says her long hours at the deli have taken a toll and she just wants to enjoy her life. Good for her.
Those pastrami sandwiches are
So good.
Can't blame her for that. Well, looking back at the hits and misses of campaign 2016. So what were the big make or break moments this year?
Yeah, here to break it all down is political analyst Aaron McPike. Aaron, good to see you this morning.
You too. Abby, is this like 8 or 9 days in a row for you?
It
You are
is. You know what? It's a great place to be, though. I can't complain too much. You're working so hard, too. We always love having you on the show. I want to break this all down, starting with this thought. We all remember this from Hillary, which she said, "Why aren't I 50 points ahead?" very angrily. Let's play this.
Now, having said all this, why aren't I 50 points ahead, you might ask? Well, the choice for working families has never been clearer. I need your help to get Donald Trump's record out to everybody. Nobody should be fooled.
Not a lot of warmth in that moment.
Not at all. It was so jarring. And you know what I think, Abby, is that this should have tipped off the media to the fact that she wasn't doing as well as everyone thought. But we didn't really dig into that very well, did we?
That's a great point.
Yeah, the media got pretty wrong. All right, here's another one, Aaron. I want to play this soundbite and get your take. So this is Donald Trump on winning. Listen.
We're going to win with every single facet. We're going to win so much, you may even get tired of winning. And you'll say, please, please, it's too much winning. We can't take it anymore. Mr. President, it's too much. And I'll say, no, it isn't. We have to keep winning.
Aaron, take that one away.
Okay, that is classic Trump. He's kind of like a college football coach or something, but that was my favorite quote of the campaign, and it shows just why he did so well. He had so much confidence, and voters really bought that confidence. That's kind of why he won, because he was winning, and he was pushing that line.
And he's still pushing that line, even to this day.
Yeah.
Winning, winning, winning. So this moment for Hillary Clinton, you could say this might have been the roughest of the entire campaign, the basket of deplorables. Let's play that.
To just be grossly generalistic, you could put half of Trump supporters into what I call the basket of deplorables.
How do you get yourself out of that one? That was rough.
Right, and that was just like Mitt Romney's 47% remark in 2012, and it just showed that Hillary Clinton did not understand what was going on in the electorate and that the electorate was so angry. It's one of the big reasons why she lost.
Well, Aaron, we'll get you out of here on this one. Michelle Obama at the DNC, a lot of people thought she had perhaps one of the best speeches at the DNC. Let's play this moment.
How we explain that when someone is cruel or acts like a bully, you don't stoop to their level. No, our motto is when they go low, we go high.
How's that resonating a few months later?
Well, I will say, with the caveat that she told Oprah recently, this is what it feels like when there is no hope. She undercut herself there, but this was one of the lines of the campaigns, and it just showed why everyone loves Michelle Obama so much. She is one of the most beloved figures right now in American politics, and people wishes she would run instead of Hillary Clinton or anybody else in the Democratic Party for that matter.
You remember that rally where they were cheering for her instead of Hillary Clinton? That was also a rough moment.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
All right, any New Year's resolutions for you, Erin? Quickly.
You know, I have seen a lot of your viewers say that volunteering is what they would like to do in 2017. That was mine for 2016, and I never did it, so I really probably ought to get to that in 2017.
I like that. Love it. All right, well, good to see you, Erin.
Happy New Year, Erin.
You too. Thank you. Same to you.
All right, coming up here on the show, New Year's Eve can be dangerous. Just ask our boy Pete and Abby about this.
The
Watch.
cage. The cage. Oh my goodness! Happy New Year's.
Wow.
All right, so that may look like fun and games, but popping champagne is actually one of the most common New Year's Eve injuries.
Caused by our
As you
own
can see
Abby
there.
Huntsman.
My goodness.
And it's just one of the many dangers you could face if you go to a party with Abby Huntsman, if you ring in the year 2017.
Why, sorry, I'm not partying with you.
Yeah.
Here to help us separate fact from fiction when it comes to holiday hazards is Dr. Nancy Simpkins. Good morning,
Morning.
Doctor.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. So we've got our little paddles here, our little true and false paddles. And, you know, the champagne cork, obviously we're making fun of it. So I've heard this story for years, this idea that champagne corks can really, there's a lot of injuries every year.
Right,
I
okay.
can attest to that.
Is it true?
Right, I watched you yesterday and it was really frightening. So let's try to talk about why medically it's so frightening. Okay, so let's start with the first fact. Champagne corks can pop at 50 miles per hour.
50 miles, I'm going to say true on that one. Based on
Yeah,
Abby's.
I'm going to go with true. You said it's dangerous. So.
Right, it is true.
True.
And the biggest danger, we as doctors always say there's pain in champagne. So always remember that, right? It's the angle of the bottle, cover the cork with a towel. Otherwise, you really risk eye
Don't point
injury.
it at your friend's face.
Pete, it could have been a lot worse for you.
Right.
You should feel lucky to be alive today.
Right, you
my
could
friend.
have had one eye not working this morning.
We're
So
a
we
pirate.
really,
Welcome to Fox and Friends.
right, we really have
I'm
to
here.
be careful. How about the fact that champagne should be left at room temperature?
Why would you want to drink warm champagne?
But I think it's a trick
Is it-
question.
is
so
it-
I'm going to go true.
Should be kept at room temperature?
Right.
False.
False.
It is false because the number one, you're right. Who wants to drink it? But number two, the pressure in the bottle at room temperature gets higher instead of lower. So keeping it cold keeps the pressure under control. So therefore, when you pop the cork, it's less dangerous.
I remember when I first started in the news back in whatever it was, 1962. I remember hearing about
It's his birthday today, by the way.
these stories.
He's 80.
I'm 85 years old today. Thank you.
And
very
looking
much.
good.
I've had a lot of work done. So if you had, like back then, we hear all these stories every year that when people go out on New Year's Eve, they'll fire out guns in the sky, and people are getting killed all over the country with celebratory gunfire.
Right. Okay. So it's really not such a common practice around here, but for instance, in Puerto Rico, it's very common practice on New Year's Eve. And is it true or false that the gunshot that can go up into the air can fall at 700 feet per second?
It's also very common in Iraq and Afghanistan.
Yeah.
Celebratory gun. No, I haven't been there.
That's right.
Yes.
In Middle Eastern countries and close to us in Puerto Rico, and it is true. And then it's head, neck, and shoulder injuries, and it can puncture the skin with serious damage.
Of course, what goes up is
must come down.
Yeah.
That's right. Okay, so now let's talk about drunk driving. The most dangerous day of the year to drive is New Year's Eve. True or false?
Most dangerous of the year to
New
drive.
Year's Eve or New Year's Day?
You mean the night
Oh, I asked my question.
Okay,
New Year's Eve.
New Year's Eve, I'm going to say false.
Oh, so good. You're exactly
'cause it's New
right.
Year's Day.
New Year's Day after midnight really is much higher.
like 1 in the
Actually,
morning.
number one is Memorial Day. Number two, July 4th. Number three, Thanksgiving. But then New Year's Day is always in the top
Well,
five.
we have to drive into work at like 4 a.m. tomorrow.
Right.
That could be interesting.
I'm going to be walking, which is
Right,
going to
so
be
let's be
dicey, too.
careful.
Well,
The last one we need to talk about, of course, is fireworks. And there's a lot of fireworks. We have them here tonight in Central Park. So 12,000 injuries a year due to fireworks.
last
True or
one real
false?
quick.
True.
True.
Yes, true.
Boom.
Of course. What are the injuries? Hands, eyes, inhaling gun smoke.
Foolishness.
Great to see you this morning. Happy
Great to
New
see you
Year.
guys. Great New Year.
Thank you for keeping
Celebrate
us safe.
carefully.
You got
Thanks
it.
so much.
We got more Fox and Friends coming up soon.
Good morning to to you. It is Saturday, December 31st. I'm Abby Huntsman. Happy New Year, America, courtesy of Vladimir Putin, the Russian president taking the high road in response to U.S. sanctions, telling American diplomats to stay in Russia. All this despite President Obama's snub.
Plus, liberals across the country, they're furious again. They just discovered this outrageous scene in a Christmas movie.
Excuse me, where's the lot?
Actions might be.
Yeah,
He's
Governor.
joining us.
Yeah, Governor. Good to see you this morning. Any resolutions for the 2017?
Yeah, listen, my resolution is a simple one. I need to watch Fox and Friends every day, the entire show, so I will be smart.
Right.
That's my
Don't
resolution.
know, Mark. You're exactly right, Governor. A lot of people don't know that we come on at 6 in the morning. So some people start with us at 7 a.m. They have a whole extra hour of enjoyment they could get by just waking up an hour
Don't
early.
even know it.
Right.
You're up watching that.
Well,
'cause you
and
always come
Mariah
on early.
Carey, you know, well, and I realize Mariah Carey's not sure about the ball drop. The problem is she doesn't understand about time zones, but I think maybe she's in the twilight zone, and that's why she hasn't figured it out.
Right.
Amazing. By the way, happy birthday, Clayton.
Oh, thank you.
Happy
very
for
much.
He
you.
was up early watching.
He's
Thank
been
you.
watching.
He knows.
You're already honoring your resolution. We appreciate that, Governor.
Thank you, Governor. I want to get your take
Yes.
this morning on Putin. Obviously, you've been watching the craziness back and forth this week as the Obama administration has laid down sanctions, kicking out diplomats from the diplomatic house, the mansion, basically, and shipping them back to Russia. And then Vladimir Putin fires back and says, you know what, we're not going to retaliate. In fact, why don't you come to the Kremlin? Kids are welcome. Come here and have Christmas with us. Does he have the upper hand here? Is he making us look like a fool?
Well, he really has played this brilliantly, and he's frankly outmaneuvered Obama time and again. And this is one of those moves where he's basically said to Obama, okay, fine, you're irrelevant. You're here 3 weeks. We're not worried about it. Goodbye. Have a nice life. And there's nothing that is more insulting than for someone to be treated with contempt and irrelevance and just basically written off as we don't care. You know, it's sort of like that biblical reference, I wish you were hot, I wish you were cold, but because you're lukewarm, I spew you out of my mouth. There's nothing worse than being just ignored. And basically, Obama is being ignored by Putin, and that's the most serious wound of all.
And Governor, how would you gauge President-elect Trump's response to this, saying, hey, Vladimir Putin playing it smart? What does that say about how that relationship's going to unfold?
Well, one of the differences that Trump is engaging with Putin is he's showing him respect. Whether he thinks he's an equal, it doesn't matter. The point is, Putin is trying to find a way to rebuild what once was this massive Soviet empire. I don't think Donald Trump has any illusion about helping to make Russia great again, but I think he understands that Putin has an ego. Putin is not necessarily a nice guy, but if you're going to deal with him at all, deal with him with some respect, and it may be easier to work with him and to get him not to do the things you don't want him to do.
Well, you know there might be some problems when you have even the Rolling Stone questioning the hacking investigation. They've got a great piece out this morning that I recommend everyone read. And here's in part what they say. They say, like the WMD story, there's an element of salesmanship the government is using to push the hacking narrative that should make reporters nervous. They also go on to say that if there was a real smoking gun there, if there were a real smoking gun, they had evidence, then President Obama would actually do something to hit a little bit harder. Sending out 35 of their folks ain't going to do anything.
Well, and you know, there's something that I don't hear reported very often. Everybody's all exercised about the fact that Russia supposedly got involved in our election, even though there's no evidence, none at all, that it had any impact on the election if they hacked into John Podesta's computer, because he gave them his password, which wasn't very smart. But here's what I want to know. Why haven't we seen the outrage for the U.S. and the Obama administration getting as involved as they were in trying to defeat Benjamin Netanyahu in his re-election in Israel? I mean, they spent all kinds of money. Sure. Some of it was State Department money, millions of dollars worth of effort, and all the Obama consultants went over there trying to defeat Bibi Netanyahu. Where's the outrage there about us getting involved in Israel's prime minister election? Haven't heard it.
Well, you're right. Speaking of outrage as well, the mainstream media, as they've covered this process, has called it election hacking. Yesterday, we had 3 full screens that came out, including from the failing New York Times, that said election hacking from the Russians. So they're conflating this without proof. And that's what this Rolling Stone article is saying, is where's the integrity of journalists who traditionally need to see the evidence before they tie these things together? Instead, they're just saying it's election hacking and taking it from the Obama administration.
Well, and it wasn't the election that was hacked. It was the DNC computers. And again, the reason they got hacked was because some very dumb Democrats gave up their passwords in a spoofing operation. I mean, I don't understand why they continue to make it appear that somehow the Russians got into the voting machines and manipulated the votes. They didn't. Hillary Clinton lost because of dumb things like giving over passwords, hiding a server in a bathroom with classified information that was illegal to store on an unsecured server. Yeah. And they want to pretend that somehow Putin was behind all of their blunders, including not going to key states to campaign.
Well, it's a great point. I know Clay wants to move on to Obama's address. I want to get a final thought, though, on this Russia story, because you're not dealing with a rational player when it comes to Vladimir Putin. It's only a matter of time before he undermines President-elect Trump once he's in office. What does he do at that point? Because it seems like they're figuring out a way to work, at least publicly on Twitter, but there's going to be a time where it's not so pretty, when things do get ugly. How does Mr. Trump handle that then?
Well, I think we keep in mind that the United States is, frankly, a far stronger nation economically, militarily, politically, in every way than Russia is right now. Russia is still in a world of hurt. One of the smart moves by Trump was putting Rex Tillerson in as Secretary of State. Now, some people say, well, he's friendly with Trump. It's not that he's friendly. It's that he's dealt with him. He's done business with him. You know, I've done business with a lot of people that I don't necessarily consider a pal, but I know how to do business with them. And I think Rex Tillerson is going to be the right person, frankly, to play tough and to say, look, we're not trying to hurt you, but you better not be trying to hurt us, because we may have more significant weaponry in our quiver than you do.
Well, and I don't want to move on from the hacking story just yet, because I think it's vitally important. And I have a lot of friends in the tech world who've looked at this report, this joint analysis report. I mean, it was paltry. It was, a few pages long, and it's filled with mistakes from the intelligence community. And if anything, that report showed that it was probably third-party hackers that managed to get into the DNC computers by doing, as you pointed out, a phishing attack. And it had nothing to do with the Kremlin. How concerned, Governor, should we be with our intelligence community, the Trump administration, going into 2017? It seems to be some real holes here.
Well, look, I think one of our biggest needs is to not only be better at cyber defense, but cyber offense. Does anybody doubt? I mean, come on. We all know that every government is trying to hack other governments. Right. And I think only an idiot would say that we're not trying to hack into the North Koreans, the Russians, the Iranians, the Chinese. Of course we are. And they're trying to hack into us. What efforts are we putting to put our very best efforts toward not only cyber defenses, but also cyber aggression, so that we are able to kind of find out what our enemies are thinking? This is the new war. This is where it's often going to be fought. And we better be prepared for it, because some of the things that could be done by virtue of cyber attacks are far more deadly, more quickly, than any military strike could ever be.
Sure, things like infrastructure and others. Well, we want to get your comment on President Obama's most recent weekly address. It just released minutes ago. He's kind of trying to tie a bow on his legacy, or his 8 years in office. We're going to play a quick clip of what President Obama just said and get you to react to it.
Just 8 years ago, as I prepared to take office, our economy teetered on the brink of depression. 8 years later, you've told a different story. We turned recession into recovery, poverty is falling, incomes are rising. Almost every country on earth sees America as stronger and more respected today than they did 8 years ago. And to keep America moving forward is a task that falls to all of us. And as I prepare to take on the even more important role of citizen, know that I will be there with you every step of the way to ensure that this country forever strives to live up to the incredible promise of our founding.
Governor, he's going to be there with you every step of the way.
Well, I'm so encouraged. It's Saturday morning, and typically, as I grew up as a kid, We watched cartoons on Saturday morning. I feel like I just watched one with Barack Obama trying to tell us what a wonderful job he's done. And that's why, by the way, there are more Republican governors, more Republican state legislatures, more Republicans in Congress and the Senate, and we're about to inaugurate a Republican president. So that's about as cartoonish a description of where America is and where it was that we could possibly have on this Saturday morning. Have a bowl of cereal. It's perfect for Saturday morning.
Great lesson there. And Governor, you know, a lot of liberals had their Christmases ruined by President-elect Donald Trump before he was ever president-elect. They sat down to watch some great Christmas classics this season, and like Home Alone 2. Watch this.
Excuse me.